Thank you for watching our presentation, Saying Something. The Ohio School Safety Center developed this presentation for students like yourself to learn more about school safety and the ways that students can help. Many people have heard the phrase, see something, say something. This phrase is commonly used to encourage people to come forward if they see something suspicious or concerning. Did you know that students can also come forward? Throughout this presentation, we will talk more about the ways that you can help keep your school safe. You might be asking yourself why you should get involved. Over the next few slides, we will walk through some brief stories of things you or someone you might know might have experienced. As you listen to each story, think about what you could do in this situation to help. I'm worried about my friend. Their grades have been getting worse and they feel like life is pointless. I know they've been thinking about taking their life and I think they have a plan and will do it soon. I don't want to get them in trouble, but I'm really worried for them. What could you do? I've noticed a kid in my class is being bullied by a group of upperclassmen. I'm not too close to the kid, but the school hasn't done anything to stop the bullying, and I'm not sure who to turn to. What could you do? I overheard in the halls someone said they were excited to test out a new gun. I don't know if this was a joke or in a video game, but I am still nervous about coming to school tomorrow. What could you do? As you reviewed each story and thought about what you should do, we hope that one solution you had was to tell someone, a teacher, a parent, or a trusted adult. However, we know there might be multiple reasons why you might not want to tell someone. You aren't sure who you can tell, you're worried that you or the person you are sharing information about will get in trouble, or that nothing will be done. These are understandable concerns, but you do have an option in coming forward. In 2021, Ohio passed a law stating that all schools need to use an anonymous reporting system that operates 24 hours of the day, 7 days of the week. This law is supported by multiple research studies highlighting the importance of student involvement in school safety.
First, we should break down what an anonymous reporting system means. You may have heard the words tip line or bystander reporting before. An anonymous reporting system is another term for a tip line and is one method for bystanders to report something they see. The key part of an anonymous reporting system is that it is anonymous. People who make a report can remain unknown, and the people working the tip may not know who submitted the tip. Tipsters can provide their name if they would like to, but it is completely optional. Just be sure to provide enough details about the tip that it can be investigated. To understand an anonymous reporting system, we want to show how the system works. To start, someone witnesses something concerning or suspicious that makes them feel their school is unsafe. That person should then contact a tip line when it is safe to do so. The person should provide as much information as possible. They are not required to provide their name. The tip is categorized based on what the issue or concern is and is sent to school officials. Law enforcement may also be contacted depending on the severity of the tip. The school then reviews the tip and determines what action should be taken. This does not necessarily mean someone will be in trouble. Sometimes tips result in intervention or consultation from dedicated professionals to best help those involved. Schools may share what is being done, or they may work behind the scenes to resolve the issue. Rest assured that when the tip is submitted, someone will see it and take action when appropriate. So what should you report to the tip line? Suspicious activity can be a behavior that indicates someone is about to commit or actively committing a crime. If you see behavior that might be suspicious, think about the context of the behavior. Some behaviors, like leaving a backpack laying around, are perfectly acceptable in a school setting, but would be suspicious at an airport. Concerning behavior is also context specific, but we are mostly looking for behavior that indicates someone might harm themselves or others.
Suspicious activity and concerning behavior are very broad terms. Here are some examples and definitions of different types of concerns that can be reported to your school tip line. Students are probably very familiar with what bullying looks like. Bullies might say they are just teasing or joking with the person that they are bullying, but if it's making someone feel bad or scared and they aren't participating in the joking, it can be bullying and should be reported. Cyberbullying involves bullying and the internet or social media. With how much social media has changed, cyberbullying can take many different shapes. please report any cyberbullying to the platform it is on and to your school's tip line. You can take a screenshot of the bullying and submit it to the tip line, just don't share it further. People often submit tips related to fighting if it has already happened, but you can also submit a tip for fighting if it's planned to happen later. Social media accounts that share videos of fights can also be reported to the tip line. Possession and consumption of illegal drugs and alcohol can be dangerous for kids' health. This can include vaping. Additionally, students should not misuse prescription or over-the-counter drugs, as these can have adverse health effects as well. If you know someone with escalating symptoms of depression or thoughts of suicide, please share this with the tip line or local law enforcement. The tip line or law enforcement will work quickly with your school to make sure the person receives help and mental health support. You may also encourage this person to reach out to 988 to connect with professional mental health crisis counselors. Just remember, depression on its own is not necessarily a reason to reach out to the tip line. Someone may be receiving treatment or managing their symptoms. Someone who is self-harming may have repetitive injuries or illnesses that cannot be explained by something else, such as a high-contact sport. If someone you know is self-harming, please share it with the tip line so that the person can receive help and support. We defined suspicious activity earlier, but this is a good time to remember that if there is something that makes you or others feel unsafe, please report it to the tip line. During the tip review process, officials can determine if there is a safety concern and how to respond. A threat can take many different shapes. You might have seen threats circulate online where people will take a screenshot of a threat and post it to social media. While we understand you might want to make sure your friends are aware and safe, sharing threats like this can increase anxiety and misinformation and make it difficult for schools to investigate. If you see a threat on social media, you can screenshot it and share it with the tip line, but do not share it online further. Additionally, this is a good time to remember that all threats, including joke threats between friends, are taken seriously. Don't make a threat, even as a joke. Your school may have a policy surrounding weapons on campus. Double check your school's policy, but if you find a weapon on or near school property or know someone has a weapon that is not supposed to, report it to the tip line or your school officials as soon as possible. You may also encounter a post on social media of a student with or in possession of a weapon. If the post mentions a threat or indicates the student may harm other people, report this to the tip line as well. Dating violence can also be known as intimate partner violence. This is not limited to physical violence, but can involve psychological or emotional abuse. Instances of harassment or stalking can be reported to the tip line as well. Additionally, you should report if yours or someone else's intimate or nude images are being shared online. The goal is not to get the person in the images in trouble, but to help get the image removed and prevent further sharing. Gang activity is something else that can be reported to the tip line. Gang activity in the community may flow into the school setting. Even if your school is more rural, if you know someone else at another school that is experiencing criminal activity or violence from a gang, you can report it to the tip line. All the different tip categories we've covered are some of the more common tips that have been submitted, but they are not the only tip types out there. If you see or hear something that makes you concerned for you or your fellow students' safety, you are welcome to report it to a tip line. This can include bus and bus stop issues, facility issues such as mold or power outages, and administrative concerns. If you feel a teacher, staff member, or administrator is making your school unsafe, you can report it to the tip line and you can remain anonymous. You should report something that makes you feel unsafe, but please do not abuse the tip line. Tip lines should not be used to report something knowingly false or with the intent to harass someone else. Misuse of the tip line can exhaust school safety resources. A tip that is found to be a misuse of the tip line can be investigated and the tipster may face disciplinary action. This discipline can vary widely and depend on your school's policies.
Now that we've covered what the tip line is and what can be reported, we have a mini exercise to test your knowledge. You will be given a scenario in which you observe 3 different behaviors or occurrences. Think about each observation and determine which you should report to the tip line. There may be multiple correct answers. You may also disagree with a response. Always remember to exercise your best judgment when deciding to report. You're in the cafeteria and you notice A. A group of students shouting excitedly about something at a table. B. A student reading during lunch and eating alone every day. C. A student skipping lunch every day to vape. If you chose C, you are correct. A bunch of people shouting may be noticeable, but this is not a cause for concern. Additionally, you may be concerned for someone eating lunch on their own, and you are encouraged to say hi, but the student may enjoy eating on their own and reading. Students should not be using drugs or illegal substances, and your school may have a policy against vaping, so you should report someone vaping to the tip line. You can stay anonymous when making this report. At the football game, you saw A. A bunch of kids jumped the fence instead of going through the ticket gate. B. Some students behind you arguing loudly. C. Students talking about staging a fight for TikTok. If you chose C, you are correct. People jumping the fence may not be a danger, though the athletic boosters may disagree. People arguing behind you do not pose a safety concern, but if it escalates and gets physical, try to get an adult's attention. You should report a potential fight, even if it is fake. Fights can result in injuries or the game being canceled, so please share this with someone as soon as possible. In the classroom, you noticed A. A backpack that doesn't belong to anyone was left in the back. B. A note saying, "I'm so sick of everything and want to end it all." C. Students behind you constantly talking during class. If you chose B, you are correct. The unattended backpack in an airport is concerning, but is common in a school. Other students talking may be disruptive, but is not a safety concern unless they are bullying someone or mentioning doing something unsafe. A note with a concerning message like this one should be shared with the tip line. You can submit images to the Safer Ohio School tip line. School officials can then investigate the note further. Outside of school with friends, you saw A. One of your friends has bruises under their sleeves. B. Your friend's picking on another student. C. An adult attempting to break into a car. If you chose A or B, you are correct. If your friend has an injury that cannot be explained by something else, such as a sport, this could indicate self-harm or abuse and should be reported. Even if your friends insist the person they are picking on is a part of it or that it is just a joke, if they are making someone else feel bad, this is still considered bullying and should be reported. Again, you can remain anonymous so no one would know that you made the report. Lastly, if you see someone committing a crime outside of your school, you should make sure you are safe. Then call 911 or a community tip line instead of the school tip line, as this crime does not relate to your school. In the school bathroom, you found A. A message calling a student derogatory names on the stall walls. B. Trash spilling out of the trash can. C. A broken hand dryer. If you picked A, you are correct. Written bullying or harassment can be reported to the tip line. Take a picture of the graffiti and submit it to the tip line. Overflowing trash or a broken hair dryer does not need to be reported to the tip line unless it's being neglected for a long time or poses a safety hazard. You noticed A. A student is being bullied in class and the teacher is ignoring it. B. Mold is growing in the locker room and it is not getting cleaned up. C. Someone you do not know is showing up at your bus stop every day but not riding the bus. If you selected all the options, you are correct. If you feel like school staff are not addressing safety concerns, such as bullying or health hazards, you can bring it to the tip line. Additionally, if something unsafe is occurring off of school property but is still related to school, such as a bus stop, you can still report this to the tip line. You can also report a stranger at the bus stop to a community tip line or law enforcement. On a field trip to the museum, you see A. Someone you do not know following the school group. B. Students sneaking off and vaping. C. The water in the drinking fountain is brown. If you chose A or B, you are correct. If a stranger is following your school group, tell school or museum staff or a chaperone. If you cannot tell any of these people, you can also report it to the tip line. As we discussed before, please report if a student is consuming drugs or alcohol. The museum or field trip site may have a policy against vaping as well. Lastly, the drinking water at the museum should be reported to the museum staff and does not need to be reported to your school's tip line.
Schools in Ohio are required to use a tip line. There are a couple different tip line providers available, so check with your school to see which tip line they use and how you can contact their tip line. The Ohio School Safety Center runs a statewide tip line, the Safer Ohio School Tip Line, that is free for any Ohio school. This tip line is available 24/7 and you can remain anonymous. You can call or text 844-723-3764 to report a tip. You can also download the Safer Ohio School Tip Line app from the App Store to make a report, or scan the QR code to visit app.saferohioschooltipline.com to make a report on our website. If you haven't done so, please save this number to your phone just in case you need it. This is a screenshot of the tip reporting form. When you call or text us, we will ask for similar information that is shown here. Where it asks, "Who are you?" this is just asking you if you are a student, parent, staff, or someone else. The form only asks for your name and contact information as optional questions. You do not have to provide either if you would not like to. Many different school-related safety concerns can be reported to the tip line, but we also want to share some tip lines or hotlines you can contact that are centered on specific issues. The National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, or NCMEC, has 2 resources that are helpful for anyone under 18 experiencing online harassment, abuse, or exploitation. The Cyber Tip Line is a 24/7 tip line to report child exploitation. They have examples of what can be reported at report.cybertip.org. NCMEC also has a new tool called Take It Down. This tool can be used to help remove intimate or nude images of people under 18 that have been posted and shared online without anyone else seeing the image. The tool takes a digital fingerprint from the image you want removed without the image leaving your device. They then tell major online platforms to scan for and flag any images that have the same digital fingerprint. 988 is a 24/7 lifeline that anyone can call, text, or chat if they are experiencing a mental health crisis. Trained counselors respond to the lifeline to listen, provide support, and connect callers with resources. Stop Non-Consensual Image Abuse works similarly to Take It Down, but it can be used by people 18 and older. The Child Help National Child Abuse Hotline is a 24/7 hotline to connect callers with counselors that can provide support or guidance to anyone who has experienced or witnessed child abuse. They are not a reporting line or connected to 911, so if you would like to report something, reach out to your local Child Protective Services. If you are experiencing an emergency, call 911. The Crisis Text Line is a free 24/7 service to connect Ohioans to a trained crisis counselor to work through any crisis they may be facing. The service is free to use and the number will not appear on your phone bill. The National Domestic Violence Hotline is another 24/7 hotline for survivors of domestic violence to connect with trained advocates. Their website also includes plenty of resources and has a quick exit function. Thank you for watching our presentation. If you have any questions about your school's tip line, please ask your teacher or principal for more information.